Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome from us. My dear colleague, Shannon Chistie from HEADGEAR in Hamburg, and me, Krauß from Axel Springer in Berlin. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Today, we'd like to present our augmented reality project, which is, in one word, a web-based virtual portal offering a pathway into another place. So, in its essence, we are talking about the possibility of virtual traveling. And this possibility we have brought to the masses about 2 months ago now in one of Axel Springer's Sunday newspapers, which is called WELT am Sonntag, so World on Sunday, in the travel section there. And there we have offered a virtual journey to some of the most beautiful places in California. Since WELT am Sonntag is a print newspaper factually, we need, of course, some equipment to make the magic come true. And this, as you can imagine, is the camera of your smartphones. And by just scanning a QR code in the print newspaper, the user starts an AR experience in the camera screen, and the portal into another location opens up. The technical implementation for this was made possible by my colleagues of HEADGEAR, and they will introduce themselves now. Shannon.
Thank you, Chris. So yeah, as Chris said, my name's Shannon Chistie, co-founder and CTO of HEADGEAR. Just to give you a bit of background on myself, I've had a history of project management through to mobile advertising. But once VR came out, I realized immersive tech was what I wanted to be into. And upon learning stuff like the Unreal Engine, I got into developing apps. So we first created a mobile game for the Oculus Mobile VR Jam. We released that on the store. And then since then, a lot of AR type experiences, because we realized there's a much wider mainstream audience. So we created an AR Deco app on using Google Core and Apple AR Kit. After that, we started to experiment with WebAR. So with WebAR, we created some prototypes, as well as the AR portal, which we're about to introduce to you today. So on the next slide. Here again, this is talking about the different types of AR that's possible. So we're talking about the streamed AR experience today. So that's delivered to you on a mobile phone in your web browser. So it's everyone basically can experience this. It's using Google Chrome and Apple Safari. And there are plenty of frameworks for this, such as Eighth Wall and Sketchfab. But there's other AR experiences as well, such as the simple embedded experience, which is in your Lens Studio and Snapchat. And you can go all the way down to a downloaded experience. So using the Unreal Engine or Zappa, Unity, and that can also be created for specialized AR headsets such as the Magic Leap. Okay, so that's the introduction for what's possible with AR, and now back to Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. So then a short introduction also from my side. Axel Springer, one of the biggest media companies in Europe. Together in a holding with Renier from Switzerland, we run about 100 print titles, more than 70 online sites, and we have assets in more than 200 digital ventures worldwide. Personally, I'm working for Spring, which is a digital enabler for the big brands of Axel Springer. And together with other companies, which are named here in the slide, under the roof of Axel Springer, we form a powerful, striking alliance in the field of widespread print and online marketing and marketing tech innovations such as augmented reality. So, since Axel Springer, as said, one of the big media companies in Europe, but there's one thing, we do not just want to be a media company, we want to become a media tech company. So for us, among other technologies, it's kind of an obligation, I would call it, to get into immersive technologies. So, and this is why we are currently setting up an immersive portfolio. And this portfolio we have separated into two sections, a non-generic part here on the right-hand side and a generic part on the left-hand side. The non-generic part includes the pure augmented reality components. And what's usually the case behind that is that they're usually being based on more or less heavy 3D models. And this, of course, has its efforts, right? Also cost-wise. Since, for instance, a developed augmented reality experience usually is just being used once, like, let's say, in a campaign or in a piece of content, our editorial departments are a little bit reluctant there. So what we try to consider is the creation of some AR components which have more a generic character. It means the experiences, they will be created once, but they can be reused again and again. And that, of course, makes an implementation much more cost effective, which on the other hand makes our editorial departments much more open to those new technologies than before. And the realization of such generic proceeding has been manifested in the AR portals as we will present them today. Okay, so what exactly is an AR portal and how does it work? Let me put it this way. In these days where physical traveling is not really possible the way we used to, readers of our WELT am Sonntag newspaper, in the travel section there, they were invited to visually visit some of the most beautiful places in the world. And by just scanning a QR code, as we see it here in the newspaper, or by tapping an icon when coming from the online campaign, the user starts the AR portal experience. And the idea behind that is that a user who reads an article creates an AR portal in his own personal environment. So as we see it here, so left picture is the personal environment, then there's the spawning animation, and in the third picture you see the portal being placed in the personal environment. And when the user actually approaches the portal, the door opens up a bit, and with some sliding arrows here in the middle, the user is being invited to enter this exciting new world. And through the portal, you can already see the world behind that. And when he actually steps through the portal, physically, by the way, then he enters this terrace and he has the full immersion of a 360 video of the California coastline. So he finds himself within the world of the article he has just read about. And the cool thing about it is, if he then turns back to where he just has located the portal, then he can even see the world to where he just came from. And Shannon will now tell us something about the technical implications there. Shannon, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. So yeah, now you've all seen what an AR portal is. And I'll be talking about how to implement such a portal. First of all, you need some creative components. There's not really much required for it, so it's fairly easy to set up. Basically 3 things. So first is a 3D model in a GLB format. The GLB format is relatively new for 3D modeling, but it has many advantages, such as including all the model information inside it. So it's got all the lighting, the materials, the animations. So you can see, for example, in the portal door we ended up using, it has this window in the middle of the door. So all that sort of transparency and materials is handled just in the model. You also need a video, so a 360-degree video. It's encoded in H.264 in an MP4 container. We were aiming for a 4K resolution, so there was a good user experience when looking at this video. And rather than putting in some audio track within the video, we decided to keep the audio separate as an MP3 file, so users can turn this on and off if they'd like to hear the information about the video or not. One other note on the video is this allowed the video to be relatively short and just looped over and over. And yeah, I'll talk about some of the challenges of the video shortly. So yeah, for the WebAR tech stack, so what is involved to create this? what technology is required. So WebAR, it runs on Safari on Apple and Chrome on Android. On Apple, other browsers don't work because Apple doesn't allow them camera access. So you need camera access for AR. On Android, other browsers are supported. So for example, Samsung Internet, but we find most people are using Chrome anyway. So these browsers use WebGL as their 3D rendering engine. And to program with WebGL, there's a very common JavaScript library called 3JS. You could possibly do a lot of this with 3JS, but it's not so easy. So that's where A-Frame came in I think 2015, Mozilla VR developed A-Frame, and it's a nice JavaScript framework, specifically mostly for VR, but they did add on some AR elements afterwards. So for example, AR image tracking is supported. However, the big thing that AR Portal needs is SLAM detection. So SLAM stands for simultaneous location and mapping. And by that, it means using the texture of surfaces detected by the camera, it detects horizontal surfaces. So you can see in the GIF here, we have a virtual coconut tree. When they drop the coconuts off the tree, it has detected a horizontal surface where these coconuts then sit, and they're anchored in this virtual space. But it appears like it's in your real world table. And this is done with 8th Wall. So 8th Wall has its own inbuilt SLAM detection technology. So yeah, on the next slide, some of the challenges and learnings that we found. So first off, the 360-degree SLAM tracking. On WebAR, it's not as good as Google Core or Apple AR Kit, which is in a proper app, because the 8th Wall technology uses instant SLAM tracking. So it's not good when you look at like a white wall or a white roof. When you point at these things, as you can see by this GIF here, what can happen is the virtual items in the virtual space no longer track correctly, so they start to drift off. So in this example, it's drifting way down into the floor, but in many cases it's off to the left or off to the right. So we developed a technique which was to, when it starts to drift a certain distance, then we actually lock the door to the camera. This way, it's not noticeable to the user that it's started to drift off at all. And the user still can experience the cool effect of being able to turn back around and look through the door.
Yeah, very, very cool solution, by the way.
So yeah, the other thing is model scaling. So the SLAM doesn't have real world detection. It's based off a fake camera height. So we needed to detect which camera height to model scaling look realistic. And then the 360-degree video formats and resolution. So upon testing of true 4K video of 2160p, it wasn't being played back on Android devices. We found out pretty quickly, though, not to use full 4K, but actually 380/40 by 920, so 240 pixels less. But it's still a great resolution, and it played back on most Android devices. We found out then afterwards the real low-end Android devices can't handle this resolution either. So in future, we should offer, for example, the Samsung A series, the older models, we should offer just a HD fallback video resolution. The other quick thing on the video is the bit rate. So high bit rates and the video starts to get very choppy. So we re-encoded the videos down to a maximum of 10,000 kilobytes. On the 8th Wall Cloud Editor, they have a new cloud editor, and it's great for fast developing and testing, but it's difficult to export if you want to self-host the experience, and difficult to localize. So in this case, we needed it in German, and then you need to dig into the 8th Wall JavaScript library and find the texts to localize them. Okay, that's it for the tech learnings. Back to Chris.
Yeah, then let's have a quick look at the results which we have seen, which from our point of view were actually quite remarkable. I mean, although the article has been published during, well, Corona high time, so to speak, with all the quarantines and so, it means there were much less recipients as usual with the print newspaper, which is of course quite understandable. However, we were able to create roughly 20,000 views on the AR portal sites within the first 24 hours after publication. And from our point of view, this indicates a high level of interest among the readers in this new technology, especially if you look at the bounce rate of 8.6%, which is really very low. That shows that the users are curious and technically interested enough to call up the article repeatedly, to check out the experiences one after the other. And what you also have to take into consideration here is that in this specific case with WELT am Sonntag, we are talking about a print media. So with a user group of readers, mainly in their 50s and above. And this, of course, is not comparable with social media audiences in their 20s, which we have in other channels, and where augmented reality is a standard feature. However, in the end, the first article was kind of a proof of concept for us, which at the bottom line indicates that we will go on placing augmented reality portals in our media for our main use cases, which is content on the one hand, of course, but also product marketing. The only thing is that we will preferably change it to an online environment primarily, since we want to avoid the break from print to online, of course. Then we also had some challenges and learnings, which we have listed here. One of the main challenges with WELT am Sonntag was, as explained already, the user group of print readers in their 50s. I mean, with a print audience of that age, the challenge was to make the access to the AR experience as simple as possible, making the experience very straightforward. And that meant that we also had some kind of clear communication beforehand. So we worked with explanation videos, for instance. And a very interesting learning here was that even if you try to make it as simple as possible, you learn that you always can make it better. I mean, just to give you a nice example here, some of the users took the arrows pointing to the door into the other world, inviting the user to walk through the portal as a request just to swipe the screen. And then, of course, nothing happened. And they were disappointed because they could see the door, but it didn't open. So that was really amazing that the aspect of physically walking through a virtual door was absolutely not self-evident. And that was definitely one of the most interesting learnings we had, which we didn't expect, to be honest, but which we will take as a very precious takeaway for next projects.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So yeah, here we have a list of what's capable, what you can do with WebAR at the moment. So this is at the moment. This is stuff that we've developed with and tested. So we've got AR portals, of course, and the SLAM detection, but there's lots of other things like face detection. They've even now added a sort of a vertical surface tracking, and holograms is a great new thing which has just come out. Otherwise, there's a few things that aren't supported yet on WebAR, such as 3D model and occlusion. But as mobile phone cameras get better, we can expect to see these things in the future.
Then let's turn to one of the most important aspects for the editorial side, which is the generic character I've mentioned in the beginning already. We consider to create some AR components which are reusable. So in our case, the 3D model of the portal, as we have seen it here in the videos, it has been created once. And from then on, it was the standard portal, or is now the standard portal of WELT am Sonntag. And only the 360 video behind the portal, has to be exchanged to create a new portal application. And to make this process as easy as possible, we have created an online tool for the editors, so a template generator if you want. And with that, the editor just defines some of the relevant settings, such as, for instance, the data path of where to find the 3D model, or the data path of the 360 video, which is to be used. And then, just at the click of a button, the HTML site for the AR experience is being created. And from then on, the AR portal can be linked from certain articles. So now when the video is changed again, the AR portal can be used with another article, and so on and so forth. So this is the generic character of the tool. And this, as you can imagine, is of certain importance for us, because it means that the tool as such has just been built once, but it can be reused again and again. And this, very important, not only with the articles of our client, WELT am Sonntag, but also with various other brands and partners within whole Axel Springer. So the generic tool, the template generator, for us as Spring, is, so to say, a white label product. So it can be customized for any other partners. And this is why we offer the tool internally and even externally from Axel Springer. So if you might be interested as well in using our generator for your purposes, then just reach out to us. And if you just want to try out the AR experience, then simply scan the QR code here, open the portal to the California coast, and make yourself your own impression. I'd say thanks a lot for your attention. I think we are ready for questions now. Thank you.
Excellent.